Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Honestly, I'm not going to have this guy's name on my face.
Everybody. Please like, subscribe, and share. Progressive host Adam Mockler confronted MAGA commentator Scott Jennings on Abby Phillips' show, and Jennings totally unraveled live on air. We're breaking down this intense and surprisingly funny panel featuring Adam Mockler, Scott Jennings, and others. You don't want to miss this one. I've got thoughts. Let's dive in.
A new question. Just how popular is this war with Iran? President Trump says that the war with Iran could take days at first if he wanted to, but then he said it would be weeks. And now he says that now that it's carried into its third month, despite higher gas prices at home and plummeting polls at home as well, Pete Hegseth is saying that America is right behind the president.
When I talk to Americans, and especially when I talk to the troops, they are grateful for a president who has the courage to take on this threat after 47 years of what Iran has done, targeting and killing Americans.
What I'm concerned about is we are not safer. And I would just like to know why you have not sought the support of the American people. And 3 out of 5 Americans are against this war today.
I believe we do have the support of the American people, and we have briefed regularly what this mission looks like and why it's critically important that we undertake it.
You don't care whether the American people support this war.
The American people are quite smart. They understand and see through spin. They know that a regime that says death to America, that seeks nuclear weapons and the ability to deliver. Did they lie about the range of their missiles?
The picture that Hegseth is painting there is wildly different from what the polling is actually showing. Just 34% of Americans support the war efforts, according to a new Reuters Ipsos poll. And just 25% say that it's worth it, while 53% say it's not. So even among Republicans, only 58% say that the benefits outweigh the costs. And despite gas prices skyrocketing to the highest level in 3.5 years, President Trump is echoing his defense secretary.
And I actually think it's very popular, what I'm doing. I can tell you worldwide, the world is thanking me because I shouldn't be the one that's doing it. Other presidents should have done it long before me. And other countries should have done it. We were not helped by NATO at all. Other countries should have done it.
It seems like there's a lot of wishful thinking going on here inside the administration about how popular the war is, how Americans see the war. I've looked at poll questions that ask this in all kinds of different ways, right? I read you several of them. Here's another one. In the long run, does military action in Iran make America safer, less safe, or have not much impact? Only 27% say it makes us safer. So, it's either the American people are smart enough to know what they think about this war or they're not.
Well, I think the Secretary Hegseth did a pretty good job. He was combative. He was firm. He was kind of macho. He was also, I think, weak on strategy overall. The polls that you cite, Abby, reflect the fact that they have no end game. And I think I am distressed for the administration for that reason. I don't think they know how this is going to end. I don't think they know how they want it to end. I believe that you have a chaos at the top right now, and everyone is holding their breath. I hope that the president doesn't, in a moment of peak, decide to take out the infrastructure in Iran just because he's angry and frustrated that the thing has dragged on so long. I hope he does not do that because I worry that nobody at this table and nobody in this country knows where the hell this thing's going.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth wasn't acting macho. He was playing a macho person on TV. He is not actually macho. We are dealing with a war that is failing on a daily basis as Donald Trump has taken his
machismo.
Because he was performing. It was a performance for
He's
Donald
the expert.
Trump.
Didn't you know?
I was wondering.
Performance for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is very impressive. He's taken his 2 largest campaign promises, no new wars and lower prices, ending inflation, and he's messed both of them up. He started a new war that spiked inflation, and now this war is actively failing. An interesting statistic is that Americans have spent collectively $23 billion extra on the gas pump. And that's money that could have gone towards daycare, towards childcare. We'll sit here and you'll laugh at Americans spending money, but the reality is we are failing this war. The purpose of a war is to extract political concessions from the enemy. Can you name a single political concession we've gotten from them? Anything at all?
What are you talking about?
Any political concessions? Because you can't name one.
So here's what we're doing.
No political concessions.
When you get up past your bedtime, you get hyper. Here's the deal. We have a clear issue here.
You're shaking, bro.
We have a clear issue here. No nuclear.
You're shaking, Adam Mockler says to Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings, really doesn't like that.
Weapons for the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Period. Full stop. The president believes, and he may be right. I spoke to a retired Rear Admiral today, Mark Montgomery, who's at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. They think the blockade is actually more effective than the military campaign. And a little patience on the blockade here, where we cripple the Iranian economy, where we kill their currency, which is happening as we speak, where we put pressure on China because they need to get their oil flowing again. A little bit of patience right here, not bombs, but patience on a naval blockade could get the outcome you want, which is no nuclear weapons for the largest state sponsor of terror.
You've been saying this for 8 weeks, and we are now past the 4 to 6 week deadline. Where is the enriched uranium right now?
It's under rubble.
Where is it right now? In the United States or Iran? Iran still has the enriched uranium. They still have the scientists scattered across their country, and they have all of the blueprints in the cloud. You can sit there and act confused, but you can't name a single political concession
it's
that
not
we
over
got
yet.
from Iran.
It's not over yet.
Okay, but also on that fact, why are we talking about the strategy of this? This isn't a legal war. This is terrorism. We are turning our military into pirates. We are seizing civilian vessels. Additionally,
sanctioned Iranian vessels that have gone through a DOJ process.
We are.
You call piracy in if words don't have any meaning, but we have sanctions against these vessels, and the EU has sanctions against these vessels. In some cases, the UN has sanctions.
But one of the most egregious aspects of this is the white Christian nationalist twist that Pete Hegseth has added onto this, saying that this conflict that we started, that we have sacrificed our own service members for, is ordained by God. Is bombing a school full of schoolgirls ordained by God? Is our prices going up and us not being able to afford an ambulance, we call an Uber instead? Is that ordained by God?
In 1983, I was in Beirut when the Marine Corps barracks was blown up by a suicide bomber sponsored by the Iranians.
It's not 1983,
230 Marines died.
That's awful. That's terrible. But that is not. It's
they
not
also
1983.
took out a couple of dozen at the U.S. Embassy.
Geraldo, we
downtown
murdered an
Beirut.
entire school of children.
You can't make
2 of them.
You can't make them. Suddenly a victim.
Okay, the real question is, what have we got?
I actually think the school children are victims. I think the civilians that are dead are victims.
Yeah, I do. But hold on, I do think. Look, just to be clear, I mean, obviously, Marines being killed is terrible. School children being killed is terrible. But there's a big difference between Iran willfully bombing, U.S. military targets and the United States bombing a school and then not acknowledging it. Which is its own separate problem, but the school children are civilians. They're civilians point blank. They should never be targeted. We are, according to some people, already at the 60-day mark of this war, and technically they're supposed to come to Congress on it. Pete Hegseth was questioned.
That's a really good point from Abby Phillip there, and they always try to trot out this thing of, they've been attacking Americans as if Iran attacked a U.S. city. As Abby Phillip is pointing out, they were soldiers. It's a shame that they died, but they were soldiers. That's much different than girls in a school. So that's a great point from Abby Phillip, which I wish were brought up on national television more often. They always want to trot out the 47 years thing, and people who don't know any better would think, Iran has been attacking U.S. cities for 47 years. No.
About this today. Listen to this.
The War Powers Resolution specifies that a war initiated by a president without congressional approval must be concluded within 60 days.
Ultimately, I would defer to the White House and White House counsel on that. However, we are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. They're not in. Yeah. It's our understanding, just so you know.
Okay, well, I do not believe the statute would support that.
I mean, that was essentially how the Obama administration interpreted the statute.
And Republicans disagreed with it at the time.
100%. I think it would be cleaner.
So just to be clear,
it'd be a good act of constitutional hygiene, and it's not you need to conclude within 60 days. You need to conclude or have authorization from Congress within 60 days.
Exactly. So they could come to Congress and get authorization. Why not?
Or they could challenge the statute, which, as somebody who has either sponsored legislation to repeal or reform every extant authorization for the use of military force and to reform war powers more broadly, I also have to confess the War Powers Act of 1974, the constitutional underpinnings of that are shaky. It may not hold up.
Maybe so, but it's the law of the land, and it has not been.
Congress has the power of the purse, and this is the reality: is that if Congress continues to authorize the Department of War, if they continue to pass the National Defense Appropriations Act, they continue to do that. That will
They're not going to shoot down the Defense Act on the basis of a war that Donald Trump started.
Why
would you shoot down all of our defense?
The National Defense Act. The National Defense Act comes up once a year. I think it's probably this year. It's usually toward the end of the year.
They also are requesting a supplemental.
They're requesting a supplemental, but they haven't actually done that fully yet. And I do think it raises the question, do they just get to pause this thing whenever they feel like it, even though there is an active blockade? And a blockade involves the U.S. military threatening with force that if
Considered an
any
act of war.
Yeah, it is considered an act of war. So how does that not count?
I think that interpretation, however, is subject to reasonable acceptance interpretation. If indeed there is a ceasefire, don't you want to encourage the ceasefire? Don't you want to encourage this peace?
Yeah, but there's also a naval blockade, which is by definition not a ceasefire.
But also,
still in war.
we're talking legalities when it comes to war powers and all this. This is bird law, right? It is not governed by reason. You know, you can't get. No, it's always something.
What do you mean?
Fans here, come on.
Can I just take it back?
Wait. What do you mean by bird law? Just
I mean, when we try to apply like normal rhetoric, normal logic, normal dictionary definitions,
as we do in a democracy. Like we're not Iran. We don't get to just like ignore the law.
The international legal repercussions,
right? If we're talking about that,
That's a strong point from Abby Phillip. There's always this talking point about attacks on Americans, framed as if Iran has been targeting U.S. cities, which is inaccurate. As she highlights, those victims were soldiers. It's tragic, but that's very different from civilians, like children in a school. She's right, and it's something you rarely hear emphasized on national TV. The 47 years of attacks line gets repeated so much that people who don't look deeper might assume Iran has been striking U.S. cities nonstop, which simply isn't the case.
That we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Wait,
Honestly, I'm not going to have this guy's
Everybody, hang tight. Okay. No, everybody, calm down. Okay. We're having a debate. You can respond to the points that he's making.
Can you name a political concession that we've got?
We had a flashback to the war the skinheads had in my studio.
I would be mad if I had to defend war too. I would be mad if I had to defend war.
Scott, you can respond.
We have a very simple goal: to keep terrorists and a terrorist regime from having a nuclear weapon that can threaten the United States, our interests in the region, our allies in Europe, anybody else in the world.
So you can't answer the question. Thank you. I would get mad too.
All right, we're going to leave it there, guys. Next for us.
Adam Mockler fires back at Scott Jennings with actual facts, arguing you can't spin a war the U.S. is struggling in, and Jennings clearly gets rattled. Instead of engaging seriously, he leans into cheap shots, while Mockler keeps pressing his points. It's especially ironic coming from the facts over feelings crowd, because when challenged, it often turns into pure emotion. Even when Abigazileh calls out the U.S. as the aggressor, Jennings falls back on the same repeated talking points like 47 years and state sponsor of terrorism. Meanwhile, figures like Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth keep pushing the idea that everything is going great and widely supported, but that narrative doesn't line up with reality for many Americans who see the situation very differently. Jennings also tries to downplay it by saying it's only been weeks, but there's still no clear end in sight. And honestly, the standout moment here was watching Mockler get under his skin. What do you think? Did Mockler win this exchange? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.